afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel.
And I'm Cathy Tillery. Good afternoon.
We're your hosts of The Edge with Donna and Cathy.
Yes.
Cathy with a C, by the way.
Yes, and Donna with a D, right?
Yeah, D and C. D say, hey, we could be part of a rock band.
Hey, C's better than D. Right? If you're grading a test, right?
If you're grading a test, it is, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for joining us right here on The Edge. We're on Monday through Fridays now, every single day from 1 to 1:30. And don't forget, also, don't tune out if you're watching us on Abundant TV or Facebook, because Donna comes up right after us with Afternoon Drive Home. And she also does the weather. Isn't that right?
And the traffic report.
In the mornings and in the afternoons, is that right? She's a busy lady, y'all.
Nah, nothing going on.
She is a busy lady.
This is a busy lady right here. You got a grandchild?
Oh, yeah. And basketball season starts in November. I'll be going to college basketball games. I'm excited. This is his last year, so I'm really excited about that.
I got a feeling you won't let it be the last year. You're going to make him do something else.
Well, he may go pro, but I don't know.
Then you just think you were busy.
He might decide just to go on and use his master's now. I don't know. I there's part of me that wants him to get married like we all do and settle down and have a family and grandbabies.
Yeah.
More grandbabies. I've only got one so far, but
we were in Oxford yesterday, just having fun, talking to the mall and all kinds of exciting things that are happening in Oxford, Alabama. And so we went by to a coffee shop, and it was pretty awesome. And did you see her little baby? The great grandmother was holding that baby.
That was awesome.
Every time I see a baby, I'm thinking, when am I going to have grandkids?
and we're hoping for all you out there, if you want to advertise, look, we don't do contracts, and it's very, very economical right now. During these hard times that we're about to face, it could be very, very beneficial to you. If you're not having any traffic coming in your store, I hope you're watching this show so that you will get some traffic coming in into your shop or your coffee shop or whatever. And also, don't forget, we're on Abundant TV, Roku. So now we are actually all over Alabama. If you catch us on Roku, you can add Abundant TV for free. And
you're speaking my language when you say free, I go, what?
Free. And if you don't have a smart TV, you can catch us on cable 182 in North Alabama and on Facebook anytime you want to watch us.
And man, we're beginning to spread out all over the place. Yes. We can't tell you yet. But can I tell? Can I give a hint? Or
are you talking about the Australia?
I'm not going to say anything.
We're going out of the country.
We're already out of the country.
So
we're on Australia now.
Yes, and we were actually talking to a Chamber of Commerce yesterday, and that is something that could be great for you all out there. Any county in Alabama, if you want to run an ad with us, please do so, because if you have some vacant lands or an area that would be great for a big company, I would love to see a pharmaceutical company come to Alabama.
Well, that'd be something.
I think that would be beneficial.
Well, we're going to have to get out there and just start digging.
I think it would be so beneficial if somebody would just go with my idea. Talk to your chamber, if you're a mayor or city council, get on it, because, we've got a shortage of medicines right now, and it's coming. Europe already faced a big shortage of hormone.
We're getting shortages
therapy
now when you order things online.
Yes.
You have to wait on it
forever. Wouldn't it be great? At least if we had a pharmaceutical company in Alabama that made like penicillin, the basics, Anyway, that's just my little soapbox. That's a part of my heart that our blood pressure pills that to take care of our elderly, because most of the blood pressure pills, a lot of them come not from the United States. They're made from out of the country.
I love made in America on anything, and I mean that's what it needs to be. But something else that I've thought about, and this is, and if you want to run ads with us, if you're a manufacturing company, would be an awesome idea.
Yes,
if help wanted, I mean. How many help wanted signs do I see? We travel all over the Southeast, Cathy and I do, because we're all over the Southeast. And so we see help wanted signs everywhere.
Most definitely.
Those are good paying jobs.
And now is the time, because a lot of these manufacturer companies, they will train you
Uh-huh.
So if
Or
it's
even
okay, you
paper
don't.
training.
It's okay if you don't have a college education. There is something you can do. There is plenty of jobs that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of them. Now, there is so much going on. So we're going to talk about different things on the show today. Me and Donna discussed this. We're not going to have actually a theme per se for this
We
show.
never have a theme anyway,
No,
Cathy.
well, we do with we're not going to do a recipe today.
Kinda.
Not on this show today, anyway. First of all, we want to talk about some great things, like we were just talking about ads.
Oh,
Yes, they do help us, but they help you more. Okay, so be sure and keep that in mind when you think, well, I don't need to spend $100 or $200 or $300. Yeah, you do, because if you don't,
Can't afford not to.
no, because in a lot of areas they only have Facebook.
And do you know something? Alabama is actually beginning to be a tourist attraction
Mm-hmm.
all over.
Yes.
I'm talking about every county we are in the state of Alabama. So you never know who's going to come by and buy some of your goods and services. We were on Oxford Main Street, and I was overwhelmed at the new businesses in Oxford on Main Street.
Mm-hmm. I loved it, and I would love to see that happen to Anniston as well. Classic on Noble, which is a great restaurant. I hope you don't mind me mentioning you. They're still there, but they need to bring some other businesses back into Anniston.
I like malls. I think they're okay, but I
Mhm.
like the idea of just a quaint, like a town hall.
I call it a hole in the wall.
Well, I call it a Christmas card look.
And speaking of, we have two more great sponsors for our show that we have added, Baker Farms. So please take this number down, 256-254-9464, because Cheryl Baker is actually, you probably have already seen some of her shows in the past week that we have aired. So I hope you watch some, and please take note of this. This is really important, guys. Are you ready? The second Saturday of every month, she is going to have a class to help teach you all. If you don't know how to garden, if you don't know how to plant a tomato, if you need to know how to save your tomatoes, if you need to know how to grow seeds or anything
Or
to
how
do.
do you root from a tree?
Right.
She's going to show you how to do that.
Yes. Take a plant. And you know what? That may be an extra income for you moms that can't work and you've got small children.
Mm-hmm.
You could actually maybe grow some plants and take them to your greenhouses nearby and sell them. But it's only every second Saturday of the month. Please take down her number, 256-254-9464. It's $175 a class. Don't say, oh my goodness, that's too much, because it is not.
And you know how cheap I am. I would actually pay $1,000 for this class. She's so knowledgeable. Oh, and by the way, she sells plants all over the world.
Right.
And she's a supplier to a lot of the big guys.
Yes, and she's a very intelligent lady. She's a graduate of Auburn University. She's actually got a chemical engineering degree.
That's something else.
So I guess that comes in handy because she is so good. When we went out to her farms, which I'm sure if you didn't catch some of our shows on that last week or the week before, please go back and watch them. You can always go back and watch them on our Facebook page at The Edge with Donna and Cathy. So be sure you can add there.
TV. You can go back and
That's
see some of
right.
those past shows.
On Abundant TV, you can scroll down at the bottom and you can see some of the past shows.
It's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire.
So be sure and go. And listen, I'm coming.
Stop everything. Stop the trains. Stop the buses. Stop everything. You're going to be a farm girl before I get through with you.
I'm going. I have made the decision. I'm going to try to make at least 2 of these classes before the end of the year.
You got to.
And Donna is going to try to go to the ones I won't be able to go to.
I'm going to all of them.
Oh, good. You're going to all of them too. Okay.
You better believe
so
I'm going to be there.
If we haven't seen you already at a show, be sure to come. And I know you're probably thinking, well, the holidays, I don't know if I can afford it. Yeah, you need to afford it.
You can't afford
You
not
need
to.
You need to figure this in, because this is something that could help you next summer.
Well, and I'm thinking supply chain, because I mean now, like
Right.
I went to the grocery store yesterday, and there were so many things I wanted. There was not there, you know. And I'm talking even. Don't tell Phil, but his birthday card. We're so limited on birthday cards for your husband.
Mm-hmm.
So many things. The supply chain is. You've got to raise your own vegetables. I mean, and listen, don't say no. I live in the city. I can't do it. Do you know in New York there are people who live in studio apartments who are having gardens
That's
now?
right. I have tubs because I don't have real good soil
She'll show
out
you how to
behind
do
my
all
house.
that.
I have 7 tubs that I used.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm down to only 3 right now. I still have some tomatoes that have not, I mean, not tomatoes, potatoes that
Well,
have not finished.
Here in Geraldine, we call them taters.
Yes. And I still have a few tomatoes that are still growing. So I still have some green little tomatoes in my window. And here it is October. So, you know.
You got to go to this training. And again, we're going to get with the next sponsor in just a second. But make sure you go because, again, supply chain. And she's going to teach you also how to save seeds.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Oh, do you remember what she said about? I'm going to tell you one thing, okay? This is one thing you can get. If you buy cabbage from the grocery store, do you know what you can do? You know, people throw away that core part.
Yes.
Don't throw it away.
Oh,
All
really?
you got to do now it needs to be shallow water, and you also need to refresh the water every few days. If you get it has no roots at the bottom, remember? So you're cutting that core part out.
That little ugly part, right?
That you
right
never
in the
use.
center.
You always throw it away.
Right,
Don't
okay.
do that. Do you know you can get about 5 or 6 cabbages off of that?
So do you plant it?
No. Put it in water, let it start growing roots, then you plant it.
Oh, wow.
I'm doing that. So I got one of them.
See?
So we're going to see. And
she learned that from Cheryl.
Yes, from that Cheryl girl. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're going to love her
Baker
personality. You know, a lot of instructors are boring. She's not
Yes.
boring at all. And you'll see from some
She's
of the
so
shows.
intelligent.
Oh my God, that girl.
She's a really smart lady.
Oh, she's something else. No, we've got another new sponsor.
Oh,
too.
wait. Yeah, while we're in talking about, I didn't mention where she is. She's in Mentone, Alabama. And it is beautiful. And guess what else you can do while you're there? So you can go to the class with Cheryl Baker on the second Saturday of every month. And it's going to be from 9 to 1. Correct, Donna? So that's about 4 hours. But guess what you can do? You're going to be starving after it, right? So you can go to our other new sponsor at the Hatter Cafe. And it is wonderful. Oh, my goodness. The food is delicious, Donna. Tell us about what you had that
It's
day.
to die for. And anything chicken. So I had the chicken salad sandwich. And it was awesome. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and let you see some of it right there.
Oh,
So, now, they're the owners right there at the Hatter Cafe. You just saw them. You've got to look at this place. It is gorgeous. The tables, the scenery, the light fixtures. Now, I mean, it's like Pinterest.
Yes.
There's the outside of it.
Oh, and it's like a bed and breakfast, too,
They're
Donna.
like that. Got some pictures of that too. But it's just this gallery. Okay, there's one of the rooms right there. And chairs. I mean, it's if you look
It
Pinterest.
makes you feel like
Look at the bathroom.
It
The
makes-
bathrooms are just gorgeous.
you know what I felt like in there? A princess. I felt like it was like
Look at the
Cinderella feeling.
They use their imagination. Oh, and those what you just saw were little babies. Yeah, I mean, this is just a nice little place.
Yeah, like our great grandmothers. Oh yeah, and the hats.
And you go outside.
Oh, I loved it. I just loved it. We could probably talk about her, the Hatter Cafe on show.
And you can. It's just have to. I mean, there's so much to look
The
at.
chandeliers were just to die for.
And look, little cups. Like china put together.
You see the beds there. Well, that is because she has 2 rooms. They are so romantic. One room is like it'll make you feel like a princess, and your husband or your boyfriend feel like a king. It's just very quaint. It's got a little TV sitting area.
Now, where is it at?
It's got individual bathrooms.
It's in Mentone,
Oh,
Alabama.
Mentone, Alabama. So look, you know what you can do? You can book your class with Cheryl at Baker Farms, and then you can head on over to the Hatter Cafe. You can have a great lunch or dinner
Have a good time.
and spend the night. But now you do have to book the reservations with that. So you'll have to call them on that at the Hatter
Well,
Cafe.
a lot of people are doing staycations instead of vacations because of the high price of gas and that kind of thing. This is if you live in the area, you live in Oxford, Anniston, you live even in Geraldine,
Oh, yeah.
Alabama. It doesn't matter. Huntsville, she gets folks from all over the country.
Oh yeah, I mean, I told my
It's easy
children
off of
about it.
59 coming in from Chattanooga.
They live in Georgia. One, I've got my stepsons. Both of them live in Georgia. My son's in Tennessee. Guess what? They're only because of the interstates. They can all get to Mentone within an hour and a half to 2 hours. I live in more south of Alabama, and I can still get to Mentone. I think it took me about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes.
Something like that.
Easy drive. So in other words, you can get up at 7:30.
Do a staycation.
Do the whole day.
Yeah, do it. Sometimes we got the trials of life. Just, people are tired of the news. I don't even listen to the news, and I'm in the business. But don't listen to that. You need to do a getaway because it's up to you what you let go in your brain, right?
That's right.
You can get depressed if you're not really
That's
easy,
right.
really careful. Think of family first. Think of your
Positive.
hubby. Think
Yes.
of hubby. Think of wife. Think of the kids. And use this just for a getaway.
Yes. Oh, yes. And there was something else I was going to discuss today that we need to keep in mind because we live in Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, the surrounding states to Florida. Our Ron DeSantis, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I have to say we all agree he's a great leader.
He is.
He's a really good leader. He is really doing a good
He
job
thinks
with
citizens
Florida. This hurricane was devastating down there. It's going to take months, years to rebuild with the floods and all. The water is, the winds were awful. 155-mile-an-hour winds that were hitting. 75-mile-an-hour winds that were hitting. And, of course, it moved on up the coastline. So it's affected numerous states. And I actually listened to him through the hurricane news, and he was discussing how we need to think about the other states that had to go through this too as well.
Because it's heading like Georgia. I think it's going to go out in the ocean again, but you never know.
Right.
It could zig when it said it was going to zag. I mean, you never know with a hurricane.
And evidently everybody in the United States thinks a lot of Ron DeSantis because he actually, I think over 35 or more plus states have all said they're going to help.
Pitching in already.
Yes. Now, they can't do anything, at the very beginning, but by the time, things get settled down, all the states can contribute. There'll be churches and everybody will go and help and volunteer. But the biggest thing we can do is pray for those people because it is affected from people that barely were making ends meet, I'm sure. To people that were very affluent in the state of Florida. But it really doesn't matter because when it all boils down to is human life. And you're blessed. And I pray by the grace of God that we don't have a lot of fatalities over the next few months that we hear about. So we'll be praying for them. Support our local businesses. Because it's our local businesses that actually are probably loading up, sending
They're the
things.
ones that, and let me tell you what you can do as an individual. You can load up and take it to some of these businesses, and they would love to have it. Right. Absolutely. You've got the Salvation Army. They're always going to help. The Red Cross is always going to help. Right. But there are things that you can do. And I'm going to have to tell you, I would rather send things. They have more professional people out there who know how to distribute this stuff other than me. I can get the word out for you guys, okay? So this is what you can do. You can actually set up a kit that you can send. And let me tell you some of the things. Kathy, there's some great things that you can do.
Yeah, and I know we touched base on this on a previous show, but it's okay in the South to actually talk about planning all the time. On a previous show, you probably have seen, we discussed, planning for tornado weather. Well, the biggest thing now that's happened with this hurricane is preparing for floods.
Yeah, so this is different, okay? And all of those things are really important. You can go back and look at those at past shows. But this is what's doing in a disaster for flooding because it's a little bit different. I mean, you get hungry, you want something to drink, you can't reach in that water that's grass, out in
No.
your yard and drink
No.
that, it could be contaminated. So there's many things that you can do, and we've got some tips. Now, this comes from the CDC.gov, so you can find this as well. So go ahead and check it out. But here are some tips and reminders, because if there's a good thing about a hurricane, at least you've got some time to prepare for it.
Right.
Tornadoes, they can just spit up at any
Well,
time.
they had, before the hurricane hit, I want to say the Weather Channel and all the weather meteorologists, they were preparing a week before. So I hope everybody heeded their warnings and got out. But a lot of people do decide to stay through the hurricanes.
They're going to ride it out.
Yes.
You always say on the news, there's some guy somewhere that goes, I've ridden out 20 of these. I'm going to ride out another one.
Yeah.
Well, you be careful about doing that. You have to take it serious, okay? So this is something I think is really important, and I do this anyway in case, because we're in Tornado Valley right here. We can get a tornado.
Tornadoes anywhere in the South.
And any time of the year, too.
Right.
So
or strong winds, for that matter.
Yeah.
We get strong winds.
Now, keep canned or packaged food in a cool, dry place, and that's really important. Check the expiration dates at least twice a year. But I like to kind of rotate my stuff if I've got canned things. So I kind of treat it like a grocery store. We do a lot of canning here. So what I do is anything I had the year before, I go ahead and put that out first. So we're eating on that.
Right.
And then I've got the fresher stuff in the back. If anything, now jams and jellies don't last long here.
No. Well, and that's like, I love to put up corn, but I try to use it up. And if there's any left, when it's time to put up more corn, then I know it's time to throw that out. Because corn in the freezer, you can get freezer burn,
Yeah.
And now you can still eat it, freezer burn, I think, by what I read. But it doesn't taste good. It tastes really bad. So I just throw mine out. When it hits a year, I just throw it out. But during floods, you've got to remember, even in Alabama, if you live near a lake or a river, a lot of times they'll crest, they'll go above the water table. Like I know in Center, Wise Lake, they've had some flooding over the past few years.
Well, I definitely keep bottled water. I mean, that's your go-to right there. I do anyway. I keep it here just in case something happens to the water, and it could happen in a flood. Your water could get contaminated, so be really careful there. Another really good idea they came up with is store boxed food in a tightly closed plastic or metal container. Now,
like a tub.
I keep those, and keep those,
Yeah.
And make sure it's got a good secure top to it, okay? Because I'll tell you what, waters bring rats, they bring mice, they bring bugs and
snakes,
stuff too.
Yes.
So make sure it's something that's tightly covered, so so the bugs can't get into it. Because flooding can actually bring disease. So you've got to really be careful about those things.
Yes, and speaking of disease, the nurse mom part of me, I want to make sure that you're aware, if ever you're in a bad storm, like these people are facing in the Florida and the coastlines, it's already hit. But if you are in a storm area and you do lose power, make sure that you can drink the water. Because a lot of times water systems are on pumps, which are power
contamination
ran.
with a flood can get.
So a lot of times they will, the city or the area you live in, they should put out a warning, which they'll do a boil water. I know they have to do that a lot in Mississippi. They have some water problems in Mississippi. So make sure, I always keep about a case or two of cheap water bottles. You can get them at Walmart, Sam's, Target, Dollar General, anywhere.
And it doesn't matter about a store brand.
It's like $3 for 24 of them. No matter where you buy them.
But now you need to rotate it out. So also about every 6 months or so.
Yes, every 6 months or so. On the waters. I do that on my waters that I just keep put up for a rainy day, as you call it, or flood. Or something like that. Be sure too, another thing is this, not only safety part, but you got to think a monetary part. So make sure if you live in a floodplain, if you live in a flat, low-lying area, and you've got a lake or a creek near your house, like I would say within a couple miles even. You need to check with your insurance agent and make sure you don't need flood
Well,
insurance.
we've got flood insurance.
Here?
Yes, we've
Wow,
got
yeah.
it. Yes, we've got it here, and it wasn't necessary, but I mean,
But
you
you
never
do
know
have a
what's going
lake.
to happen.
You have a pond,
We got a
right?
big pond out here. It's a
That's
2 acre
right.
pond. So I want to make sure, and the way our land is kind of sloped, so up the
Right.
road, it'll kind of go down a little bit, and then here's the house, and then the pond is back behind that. We're on
That's
38
right.
acres, so I suggest you put that, and it doesn't cost that much to get it either. So go on ahead and get that.
Check with your insurance agent.
Mhm.
My husband's a great insurance agent.
Mhm.
I love him. Of course, I'm partial because he's my husband. But check with your insurance agent. He or she will guide you if you need flood insurance. So that is imperative, y'all, because listen, your regular homeowner's insurance does not cover flood at all.
Well, I'm going to tell you what we did.
Zero.
We're setting on an earthquake fault. I'm getting into this just for 1 minute.
Wow.
And so I talked with our insurance agent years ago about this, before your guy came in. And so he said, "Why do you want earthquake insurance?" And I said, "We're on a fault. I mean,
fault lines, yeah.
I think it could happen anytime. I just really do. It doesn't cost that much. Well, I'm ready in case it does happen." Now, real quick, because we've got about a little bit over 4 minutes left in this segment. Review the needs every year and update that kit.
Right.
Okay, make sure you. And what I mean by that is, if you have batteries in it for the flashlight or whatever, make sure now that they're working good. Make sure of that. And if you've got any way for solar power, use that. We keep those little solar lamps.
I keep the solar lights out in my yard.
We
so
got
guess
them
what?
out here. Yeah.
If
we'll have a little bit of light.
if something happens, you lose your power, and you do have those little solar lights, you need to run out in the yard and grab them. If it's about 8 or 9 o'clock, because you can turn them off, and then during the night when it's pitch black and your candles are burning down, and you need a flashlight, and your flashlight batteries are going. Grab one of your yard lights. You got to be resourceful there, creative a little bit.
Yeah, because you got to read to the kids, keep them all at
That's
ease.
right.
And you got to have light for that.
That's
okay,
right.
So make sure you do that. If you can't contact your doctor or pharmacy in a disaster, ask help from the emergency responders or the staff in emergency shelters. And we got great folks here who want to help. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, don't get aggravated if they can't pick up the phone and talk, because you got to remember, everybody else is calling too.
At the same
Check
time.
on your neighbors if you can have some kind of assistance. Usually the cell phones are the last to go out.
Right.
If you've got a home, who has a home phone anymore?
Landline. I still have a landline.
See, I don't have
And
one.
actually, when we had the horrible snow in Alabama that just shut down I-20 a few years back, you remember that?
Remember the blizzard?
The cell phones didn't work. My landline did.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm still a landline lover, just for the reason that you can have another phone as well as your cell phone. I still have cell phone, of course. I use my cell phone. I don't even use my landline. I don't even use my landline,
She's not
but
gonna live without that.
I still have the landline.
You bought your
just
cell
for
phone for me
emergency.
many moons ago.
I did.
Yeah, when I was with GC.
I sure did. My first bag phone.
Yeah, it was-
When I first started as a nurse.
She wanted
Back
to
in
look cool with a bag phone.
1991. Yeah. 92. 92, actually.
No, those were the best phones. They were 3 watts. I mean, they really were.
It was
they
awesome.
Also towed around a bag phone.
Yeah. So we're almost out of time. So we will say this. Please stay safe. Remember, this is tornado season as well as hurricane season. And it seems like it's going to be a bad hurricane season.
Of course, you never know. Maybe not, but just be prepared. Be ready. We'd rather keep you prepared and safe than not, okay? And don't forget our sponsors, too. You want to check out the Baker Farm.
Yes.
And don't forget, this is going to be an awesome, awesome class. 256-254-9464. Make sure you check them out. And also the Hatter Cafe, the birthday club. We didn't even talk about that.
Oh, she's
They're going to give
sponsoring
away
the birthday club.
$20 gift certificate every Friday.
That's a meal and dessert.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, they're
so
very
make sure you check that out.
Great
okay?
place.
Oh,
Great
yeah,
place.
it's wonderful. You're going to love it. I had the chicken salad sandwich. What you had the vegetable?
I made me like a vegetable plate. Loved it. It was wonderful. And so y'all need to go check it out because, and they had tea. Hot raspberry tea. Oh, it was fabulous.
They've got every kind of tea you can think of. They got blackberry. They got the whole works. So
y'all have a great day, and we will see you next time right here at 1 o'clock on Abundant, Facebook, wherever you watch us at. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
We love you.